Chase Elliott snaps the playoff driver winless streak. He wins today at Talladega, becoming the first and only driver locked into the round of 8. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove on the Go. I am sitting atop the pit wall right here at pit entry at Talladega Super Speedway. These skid marks you see right behind me, those are from Christopher Bell when he narrowly missed this inside safer barrier spinning during green flag pit stops. We've got a lot to talk about. Finally! It only took a month. It only took 5 weeks, but finally a playoff driver, a driver in contention for the 2022 championship, has found victory lane in the postseason. Of course, it comes at Talladega, what's supposed to be the biggest wild card track. You're supposed to see Todd Gilliland and Cody Ware and Michael McDowell in contention for wins. Not necessarily just playoff drivers, but you look at the top 5, which we will in a moment. It's like all playoff drivers. A pretty tame race by Talladega. No, I don't want to say tame, because I think that puts the wrong image in people's heads. They were racing. They were 2, 3 wide almost all day long. A few periods really just before and after green flag stops they would go single file, but they were racing. Maybe they weren't bump drafting quite as aggressively as we've seen them in the past, but there really weren't any major massive crashes. There was one crash that collected 7 or 8 cars early in the race, but only like 2 or 3 I think even got knocked out from that wreck. That of course was Tricky Ricky Stenhouse getting into the back of Harrison Burton. A couple playoff drivers. Logano got a little bit of damage, Cindric got a little damage, but I can see the scoring pylon from here. I see Cindric got a top 10. I don't know where Joey finished, we'll look in a moment. So while there wasn't really a true big one, no one thankfully went flying into the catch fence, no one crashed across the finish line, this wasn't a tame race. They were racing. Some, I'll say some on social media were speculating that the drivers were gonna go on strike this week and just run single file around the top side for 500 miles today out of protest of the next gen and all the safety concerns. And there were never any basis to those rumors. That was just the internet being the internet. The drivers were racing today. Points were on the line. A spot in the round of 8 was on the line, and that spot now belongs to William Clyde, Chase Elliott, whatever his full name is, I'm sorry. Awesome chase from the same place. The first 5-time winner on the season, the regular season champion, is the first to lock himself into the next round. He had a near flawless day. He was 3rd in stage 1, won stage 2 with a great final move here. Actually started right about where this is behind me, where he made a move to the outside. His teammate Kyle Larson side drafted and beat him by a nose. A thrilling finish to both stages today. I think they were 3 wide across the line in stage 1. Blaney got the edge there. It was fitting. Blaney wins stage 1, Elliott wins stage 2, and who was doing battle? Who was side by side across the line at the finish? Blaney and Elliott. Good, hard, competitive, but clean racing for the most part today. That's what we love to see. Fun fact, I think it was Joseph Strigley, I believe, tweeted this out yesterday about the Xfinity race, but that is the first race in nearly 400 National Series races run at super speedways where every single car that entered, that began the race, finished the race, or is at least still running at the checkers. Today's race didn't quite achieve that. There were a few that fell out due to crashes or other issues, but most everyone finished, and there weren't too many scratches or scars on these machines. Last week after that, I'll just say crazy race at Texas Motor Speedway, I was kind of begging and hoping for a more straightforward race for a change. Bristol was nuts with the steering issues and the tire failures. Texas, where do you even begin? When we get to the playoffs, where every point, every position matters just a little bit more, I don't want to see too much chaos. I want controlled chaos, and that's what we got here today. So I'm actually really pleased with the racing. I'll put this thing on the groovy gauge at the end, but for now, let's go and take a quick look at our top 10 finishers. Top 15, it's always top 15. Why did I say top 10? Yeah, Chase Elliott gets the win. Congratulations to him. Nearly max points today, but he's locked in thanks to the win, so points really don't matter until 2 races from now, until Las Vegas. Ryan Blaney gets a strong second. I mentioned he did well in the stages as well, so a good points day for Ryan Blaney. Michael McDowell, I know I kind of unfairly made a joke at his expense a moment ago. I didn't mean to do that. He's been really good this year, and the hot streak, it's not even a streak at this point, it's just a full season's worth of work. Michael McDowell's near dream season continues. He gets a 3rd place finish, and then a couple more playoff guys. Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin, best buds. I mentioned a second ago how I was shocked. I'm sure we all were shocked that they didn't all crash there during that final restart. Ross Chastain was in the same boat. Here's what he said afterwards.
Oh my God. I'm standing here right now and I cannot believe it. I felt good that we were going to be far enough forward, but when that final caution came out, I just thought we would all crash at the front and they'd all pile in. So that's that's what we've seen, right? That's the telltale of the Daytona 500. The leaders crashed into turn 3. For some reason, Talladega worked out better.
Eric Jones gets 6th. I think he finished 6th here in the spring as well, if I'm not mistaken. So that's 2 straight Talladega races where Erik Jones was leading. He was the control car late and doesn't even finish inside the top 5. In this case, he just didn't get a great push from Ross Chastain on the final restart. It was a little questionable that he chose the outside lane, in my opinion. He'd worked really well with Michael McDowell to get to the lead initially, and he chose to work with Chastain instead of McDowell on that final restart. That ultimately decided Erik Jones's race. I want to give Todd Gilliland a shout out for finishing 7th. I tweeted this at one point, but it felt like every time I looked up today, Todd Gilliland was somewhere in the top 10. He was riding around in 3rd or 4th for a long time, so shout out to Todd Gilliland. Really strong day. This is, I think, his 2nd career top 10 finish. Suarez, Cindric, Briscoe, all playoff drivers get solid top 10 finishes. But there you have it. There are your top finishers from today's race. You don't see Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell started on pole. Weekend was off to a great start. But then during green flag stops in the middle of stage 2, Christopher Bell, right behind me here, spun out entering pit road. He actually sped as a result as well, so he lost a lap. He managed to get that lap back, but was never able to drive back up to the front. That also prevented him from earning stage points in stage 2. So Bell came into this race not in a must-win necessarily, but very nearly. He needed a great points day. Starting on the pole at the beginning looked like that was in store. It's not how it wrapped up. So Bell, we'll see in a moment, at a very deep points haul. William Byron also finished outside the top 10. Byron looked to be in position to maybe win stage 1, and then, I don't know, he maybe got a bump or he pulled down low, chose the wrong lane, I don't know. He fell back to like 7th or 8th, ended up finishing 11th at the end of stage 1, which had to sting considering how many laps he led. He's a guy just like Bell, needed stage points today. Came in -8 thanks to that penalty. Now that penalty, they are hearing an appeal later this week, so maybe that penalty gets reduced, but for now at least, Byron, in a tough point situation, likely would have collected more stage points had he finished better in stage 1. So yeah, those are your top finishers. Let's look at the points real quick. Elliott, of course, advances. Blaney, Chastain, and Hamlin all finished in the top 5 today. They're all atop the points pylon right here. Logano entered this race the points leader. I think he was +32, so you gotta be a little disappointed to lose points to the cut line at one of your better racetracks. Logano typically runs up front at these super speedways and contends for stage wins and contends for race wins. Kyle Larson, though, has got to be ecstatic being +18 leaving Talladega. Back when he was at Ganassi, this was one of his Achilles heels every playoffs. But he's +18 going to the Roval, where I expect he will be a legit contender to win. So barring disaster at Charlotte, Kyle Larson's in a pretty good spot, all things considered. Now, closer to that cut line, Suarez, not bad. I picked him to make it to the round of 8. Right now, he's like the only notable prediction I think I have going well for me so far in these playoffs, so I'm riding Daniel Suarez until I die. Briscoe and Cindric technically tied for the final points position. Tiebreaker in play here. William Byron, I mentioned him, is -11, so he actually lost 3 points today. That really stings considering your Hendrick teammate won. Then there's Christopher Bell, who also lost points. Dude had such a great round 1, just hasn't had things go his way so far in the second round. Today though, I mean, largely self-inflicted. And then of course Alex Bowman, who did not get the chance to race today. I didn't see, where did Noah Gragson finish? Because he was up top 10 late, filling in. 19th, I just looked it up. Gosh, I hope that wind is not messing with the microphone. I don't have my usual mic with me. I'm using the phone mic. And my hair also looks ridiculous. None of that is really important. Anyway, there are the point standings going into the Charlotte Roval, the final race of the round of 12. The helicopter taking off. You guys can probably hear that. There you go, it's back there somewhere. Yeah, there you see a helicopter. Skedaddling, skedoodling. Where was I? Talladega. Certainly wild card track, but you know, the worst finishing playoff driver today was Joey Logano. I think he was the only playoff driver to finish outside the top 20, and he came in as the points leader. So definitely some jostling, as you saw a moment ago there, but a lot of the guys who were already below the cut line, I'm talking about Byron, Bell, they're still below the cut line. So things are going to be interesting going into the Roval next week. But let's talk Talladega for a moment. Let's talk about the racing. Was Talladega a good race? This is where I bring in my friend, the Groovy Gage, made the trip out here with me. This was great. Like I said, I was longing for a more straightforward NASCAR race that, yeah, had some dramatic moments, some intense racing, but ultimately it was straightforward. There wasn't a ton of tire failures knocking people out seemingly at random. Multiple times in this race, I even think I tweeted it a couple times, I looked up and leading the outside line would be Denny Hamlin, 3-time Daytona 500 winner. Leading the inside lane would be Ryan Blaney, 3-time Super Speedway winner. Like, the best plate racers commonly were leading and pacing the field today. So, I mean, I love when a plate track shows off that, hey, it does take some skill to be good here. We got that today. So I'm gonna give today's race, you know, we're in Alabama. We're in what some call Earnhardt country, so I'll go an 88. 88% on the groovy gauge for me. A really, really fun, enjoyable, action-packed super speedway race without all the carnage, without all the chaos. They weren't riding around, they were bumping each other. Several drivers, notably Blaney, who ran really well today, were complaining of handling throughout the event. But ultimately it came down to some of the best super speedway racers in the business. I mean, look who finished in the top 5. Blaney, 3-time super speedway winner. Just mentioned Chase Elliott, we know he's great. McDowell, Daytona 500 winner. Chastain, who won here back in the spring. Hamlin, I just talked about his greatness. Eric Jones was 6th. He's got a couple wins on super speedways if you include the Clash a couple years ago. Who was 7th? Okay, 7th was Todd Gilliland. He's a rookie. He's doing fine, but okay, the top 6, all widely considered to be some of the, if not the best, super speedway racers in the sport right now. So, good race, fun race, enjoyable event, good crowd. You couldn't have asked for better weather, quite honestly, and I don't think you could have asked for a better race considering the sloppy weekends we've seen the past couple of weeks. So good day for the sport, great day of course for Chase Elliott and his legions of fans. 88%, that's my score. The sun finally is starting to go down behind those grandstands, so I'm not, getting tan and burnt on one side of my face, but that's gonna do it. I wanna give a big shout out and a huge thank you to everyone who came out to the little meet and greet meetup we did earlier this morning at the Alka-Seltzer display in the midway outside the track. I've done a couple of those meetups before, and Alka-Seltzer really kind of them to let us use their space to sort of kind of hang out and congregate, but I was not prepared for the sheer number of people that showed up today. Tons of very passionate race fans came to say hi. Thank you all so much to those of you who came out. I hope it was a good time and worth the wait, worth the experience. It was a blast for me, and hopefully going into next year for sure we can do that at more and more racetracks, because this was insane. I was actually overwhelmed. I feel like I'm usually pretty good in front of a camera, behind the microphone. I'm used to just getting up and talking. I was taken aback when I showed up and there was so many people there to say hi, talk a little racing, and yeah, I really appreciate it. It really blew me away. So thank you all so much for the support. That's gonna do it for this episode. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future content. I'll be back home probably late tomorrow, so Tuesday, Wednesday, the rest of this week, we'll have lots of content, I'm sure, coming out on this channel. Thanks for following along on social media this week. I've been covering a lot more stuff at the track since I'm here, have that opportunity. Thank you to Talladega for making that possible. And thank you to my Patreon supporters also making the trip. It's thanks to you guys I'm able to come out to races like this. I think this year I've been to like 12 or 13, maybe 14 if you include the SRX race. I don't know, I've been to a lot of races this year and hope to continue to increase that number year after year. Wouldn't be possible without all of your support. We'll be back again later this week. Like I said, thank you for watching. Take it easy, y'all, as that car interrupts my outro. It's a racetrack. I guess I should expect there to be cars.